Hello and welcome to the Semex podcast. My name is Clarissa McCallum, corporate photographer and content creator. I'm joined by Brenda Lee, our communications specialist, as always. How are you, Brenda?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk to these three gentlemen about what happened the other day, Tuesday. It's just Thursday now, so we're hot off the press with all the proof news.
It's been a busy week, but we
hmm
managed to wrangle Mike, Julian, and Paul once again to talk about Holstein Proofs for us. So let's not waste any time. I think let's let the experts get to it and everyone can enjoy.
Take it away. Late breaking news. Since this recording, we've received the top 200 TPI genomic young sire list from Holstein USA, and we've got some great news. This obviously happened after the recording, so I'm going to turn it over to Paul and to Mike to give us the latest update.
Okay, so we've got as Brenda said, while we were doing the podcast, Holstein USA did post the official top 200 TPI genomic young bulls. So the ranking is slightly different from what Paul was quoted on in our podcast. So what we see now is Progenesis Time Traveler is the number one genomic young sire. At number 3 is Progenesis Super Freak. Number 7 is Welcome Gustafson. And number 8 is Beyond High Level. Beyond that, Semex has the number 10, the number 11, number 12, and the number 15 genomic young bull, as well as the number 19 and 22. So a very strong showing for Semex in this official top 200 genomic young bulls. So a nice addition to go along with the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mike. That makes 9 of the top 20 and 24 of the top 100. So great results for us.
Well, thanks, Clarissa and Brenda. Certainly an honor and a pleasure for Mike and Julian and I to walk through the April 2026 proofs with you today. Before we kind of get into the data, one thing we wanted to talk about is kind of one of the buzzwords that you hear. It doesn't matter if you're at Subway or you're at Starbucks or you're buying food at a restaurant. Protein. Protein's the buzzword in the world, whether you are getting a milkshake or whether you are at a gas station or wherever you're at. But protein's the buzzword, and that's starting to affect us in the dairy industry. And Mike, maybe you got a little bit more information on how and why of what's going on with that.
Yeah, I think it's a trend, certainly, Paul, but it's one that's not going away. The stats tell us that 70% of the American population is seeking more protein in their diet. They're associating high protein with physical strength and immune function and weight management. And of course, as we know, there's a growing interest in weight loss products, GLP-1 weight loss drugs, and a lot of the consumers are prioritizing high quality protein to help manage that muscle mass while going through weight loss to try and minimize the muscle mass loss and still build on that, which has created a new market for the dairy industry. We've seen 71% growth in ready to drink protein shakes over the last 4 years. So this has all evolved and put pressure on our dairy industry to produce more protein. Paul, we've seen other challenges or changes in our industry before, and our associations and formula calculations have adjusted to fit them in. And I think this protein adjustment we're seeing is very relevant, and we're seeing those changes in the formulas this round.
Yeah, for sure. As we kind of just look in the rearview mirror a little bit, the TPI formula specifically has, there's been other changes or challenges, if you will, in the Holstein breed, whether it was productive life or DPR or calving ease, and also utter improvement over the years. And many of the traits that have been added to that formula, once you identify a trait or come up with a new trait and put pressure or focus on it, you get results. So many of those things we've overcome. They're maybe not perfect, but they're certainly better than they once were. The Holstein cow produces a lot of milk. She calves easily. And our health traits and productive life and DPR are certainly improved since we had those traits added. And to kind of go along with our theme of protein this time, there was a form in the change in the TPI formula to better align with these emerging trends in milk pricing and get that ratio for milk processing centers easier. So in the TPI formula, traditionally was a 50-50 weighting on fat and protein equally. And this time, essentially, it's gone to a 2/3, 1/3. So 63% roughly on protein and 37 on fat, but basically at a 2-to-1 ratio, or 2/3 to 1/3 protein to fat ratio. So once you look at the correlations of this is extremely high correlated. over 99% with the previous GTPI lists. One thing we did see as you analyze and look at nearly 80,000 bulls, we did see with this formula change basically a softening of about 30 odd TPI points. So if you look at a bull that was, say, 32 points last time, he'll probably, with no changes, sit at 3,200 this time. So net, you're going to see a softening across the breed, every stud, every animal, basically affected by this change. One other thing I wanted to talk about, just as we look at rankings across the world, specifically on bulls of all ages. So if you look at a TPI list, there's about 40 bulls that are over 3550. That's kind of the elite of the elite bulls in the breed. And then you're going to find about 950, 960 bulls that are over 3450. So again, you got some very elite bulls over 3550, and then you got about 950 or close to 1,000 bulls that are only separated by 100 TPI points. It's kind of a thing where I think breeders really need to work with their representative, use the Semex solutions to identify the things that make your dairy profitable and pick out those bulls that are unique and profitable to you. So I know from a product development standpoint, I'd just like to put a plug into what we're looking at. Our focus is really on more milk, looking at protein, as we talked about, good udders. We look at CCR, cow conception rate, A2 Immunity Plus, and the other Semex brands. So just to assure you that we are looking at these, and some of the results obviously have come through. Just to stay on that protein theme for a minute, some of our top bulls that rank well for protein, we have about 30 or 35, 36 proven bulls that are over 50 pounds of protein. Those are led by T-Spruce Maxwell and Seamer's Ball Game, both that are active bulls with semen readily available. And then we have about 40 young sire bulls that are over 60 pounds of protein. So breeders are looking at that. They can certainly find that with us. There's bulls like Progenesis Time Align, Progenesis Preston, and Progenesis Popeye. And then Genosource Yance, Genosource Eject, and then our popular bull on Fast Start, Eldon Tweed Fitzgeralds, that are all over 65 pounds of protein, and all 6 of those bulls are also A2. This is a change that happened with protein in the U.S., and Semex, I say, would be well positioned and will continue to focus on in the future. On the Canadian side, I know there are some similar changes in Canada, Mike. Maybe touch on that, please.
Yeah, we went through some of the similar changes. The Canadian system did realign. We saw quite a bit more increase in fat yields over the last number of years. It was found that in a study over the last 30 years that fat yield actually increased by 1.2 times of the rate of protein. And over the last 5 years, we've actually seen a 20% greater increase in the genetic progress of fat compared to protein. So we've seen great strides in fat, but now with the protein shift, we have to make that change to that. Fat and protein is 26% heritable. So making these changes, we should see a change fairly quickly and an impact fairly quickly as those daughters eventually get into the milk stream. And we should see that happen at a fairly smooth and good transition. In Canada, they did make the change similar to what they did in the US. Previously, we were 60% fat in the production index and 40% protein. We've now switched those numbers. It's now 40% fat and 60% protein, which is the same as what we were in 2015, actually, in the Canadian formula. So we've gone back to that and to align ourselves with that protein demand. And the way our breeders are being paid, that's what's driving it for them. That's the way our customers are being paid for their milk because of the consumer demand. So the index is going to reflect that as well. Also in Canada, we did see a couple other changes. There was the introduction of calf health to the health and wellness index. So calf health was added this time, and it actually gives a 30% weighting in that health and wellness index in the LPI formula. So that's combined with mastitis resistance, metabolic disease, hoof health, and cystic ovaries, and then the calf health at 30%. So a fairly heavy weighting to that portion of the index for just being introduced this time around. The other thing that we saw in Canada this round that we see every April, as everybody knows, in Canada, we do a rollback every April to the genetic index. Tuesday morning, we wake up and every animal, male and female, is rolled back on that genetic base, the same as everyone else in their barn, everyone else on that same list. So this time around in the Holstein breed, we saw an 82 kilogram adjustment for milk, 7 kilograms of fat, 5 kilograms of protein, and 0.59 for conformation. To go along with that, 0.61 in mammary system, 0.4 in herd life, as well as the other traits that all contribute to a change in their overall LPI number. So again, it's a universal rollback right across everything in the breed. So everything gets hit the same. Everybody gets hit fairly that way. But then, of course, there's the pedigree changes and daughter performance that come in with that as well. But we saw those other changes. So a lot to digest, a lot of things changing on both sides of the border with our two systems. To go along with what Paul said, I mean, yeah, we've got a great group of bulls poised to handle those changes. Paul talked about some of those proven bulls, and they rank well in the Canadian system on protein as well. We'll talk more about them as we come up, the Power Stars and the Sugar Highs. But there's still great bulls like West Coast Alcove, who's been around for a long time. One of the oldest bulls out in our barns, still looks great and produces semen, is one of our top ranking protein bulls in the breed on the Canadian system, as well as bulls that, they're maybe not extreme on protein, but they're well above average, and they tick the boxes on type and many of the other traits like Have No Fear and Dropbox, popular bulls that are very solid on protein as well. So I think to just echo your comment, Paul, I think we're poised very well to handle this change in the protein ratio and set us up for success that way driving forward. Julien, you're going to take the lead here and talk about a couple of bulls that do well in both systems and are both protein specialists as well in their own right. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And interesting that protein comes back. People that have been in the industry long enough remembers the mid to late 90s where protein was a single selection trait where bulls were ranked by protein. So only took 30 years to come back in fashion. So interesting to see. But I think our cows now are way much more balanced and organized to support the high production. Yeah, just a few words on some of the top proven bulls. Monteverde, he's a bull that's been around. That's his 7th summary with daughters. He's been in top 25 TPI for a long time. He's still now in the top 60 after 7th summary. I mean, he's almost 6 years old. So, I mean, with all the young bulls coming through, that's impressive. He's our #1 official LPI bull proven. So what to say about Monteverde? I mean, he's been around and he's high production, high component, siring daughters that are resilient, quality, high quality udders, udder texture. I think his oldest daughters are turning 4 this spring. It's quite a few excellent daughters already. I think they're going to be long lasting, really quality cows, and a bull that is quite reliable, and we'll see a lot more of them. And the one thing that we find out now, they're good brood cows. We see a lot of Monteverde on the maternal side of some high bulls, high females. And so one thing to side good daughters, but the daughters that breed well is certainly a big plus for his quality. The one other bull I need to talk about is Progenesis Pattern. Another Zazzle son from a challenger. So you see the slow maturing pace in that pedigree, but yet he's come up every round. He was first proven last summer, and I mean, he's still 1,200 of milk, over 100 kilos of protein, and 100 kilos of fat. Sorry, 70 kilos of protein. He's our #2 LPI bull. Is like number 15 in the breed. They're really honest dairy cows with good quality udders that are going to mature well. People that have seen a whole bunch of them, they said they're unfinished as young cows, but really developed into phenomenal cows as they finish their lactation. And now a few of them are just fresh a second time. So we can predict that he might come up again. I think, Paul, you get a couple of TPI bulls or...
Yeah,
Those
staying with
carry
the
on with
theme and kind of moving to the U.S. GTPI proven bull list and how we look there, and we continue to look well. The official TPI list is not out for proven bulls yet, but on the unofficial list, Semex would have 25 of the top 200 bulls and continue to rank well. Kind of staying with the theme or thinking a little bit about, that balance approach. I did look up one sort and found it interesting. People are looking for milk and good udders. I did 1,000 pounds of milk, 1 point of udders, and positive cow conception rate. And Semex has right at 10 proven bulls that fit that. And a couple of the bulls that really lead the charge there would be Cookie Cutter Harmonious. And then leads me right into talking about Fly Higher, Sugar High, are 2 of the bulls that would lead our charge there with good milk, good udders, and also really nice cow conception rate. Sugar High is a bull that I've talked about before on this program. I've seen a bunch of daughters. He had a really nice proof round, this A2 bull. added right at 350 milking daughters and just short of 200 scored daughters. Short and sweet, just like his sire, he's a customer satisfaction bull. He makes nice cows that go to work every day, and they're pleasing to look at. The sugar highs may be one of the best bulls for putting height and width to the rear udders. They'll hit you right in the face if they're in a tie stall barn when you're walking by them. But he also does add some nice width to the chest. As I look at the sales figures, and he'll be no stranger to our audience today, he is approaching right at 300,000 units of semen sold. So sack stand conventional, still making it, still working hard. And he's right at 40 different countries selling. So hats off to our sales team for recognizing him, his demand, and the global bull that he is. He ranks in the top 100 TPI bulls today still. And a rather really neat thing about him, he's the only bull in the breed that I could find that's over 3,200 pounds or 3,200 TPI, 1,500 pounds of milk, and a 1.5 water composite. Customer satisfaction right there with sugar high. It continues to be popular. One other bull I wanted to mention is Power Star, another bull that is one of our higher TPI ranking bulls. I think he'll end up in the top 15 GTPI when the official list comes out. He's backed by a full pedigree. His mother is excellent 90, and then there's another 11 generations of very good or excellent behind him. Power Star ranks well. He's been a little bit probably more of a challenge for making a lot of semen, and is probably a little more demand than what he has availability, but just continue to sell, and we do have a good amount of conventional semen available on him. You're going to see this bull in our pedigrees. We have a couple Power Star sons that are active, both coming from T-Spruce Bootlegger, and T-Spruce Junction, for both Power Star sons that are available. And then he's going to show up quite a bit on the bottom side of a pedigree as a maternal grandsire. He already shows up. There's 3 brothers out of a cow I'm going to talk about. Hooray, He-Man, and Hondo have all been released here in the 2026 calendar year, and their mother is Power Star 41312, and she would be a full, she'd be a full sister to High Power. The next dam would be Deluxe Highlighted, who we've talked about a lot with high level. Her influence will be crazy. But this Power Star daughter, 41312, ranks right in the top 100 of all females in the breed on a GTPI level. I mean, she's actually the dam of the #1 GTPI heifer, and her name is Progenesis Torchlight High Society, and she comes in at 3636 on a TPI at the #1 spot, bred by our internal program at Progenesis. So hats off to Carl and his team. And she would be the full sister to High Power. This cow has also had another handful of daughters that rank in the top 200, and she's been a member with our partnership with Seamers down at Maple Lee, and she's gone through the biopsy program, and I'm proud to report that we have about over 25 embryos that are over 3,500 GTPI. So this is a cow that has brothers in the program, both full brothers, maternal brothers, and will continue to have influence for quite some time. Power Star is doing a nice job across the way. Mike, I'll turn it over to you. You want to talk about a couple other Canadian bulls that pique your interest?
Yeah, there's a couple bulls we've been watching for a while now and continue to do really well. The one is Cookie Cutter Larson. I don't believe we've talked about him on previous podcasts, but he was first proven in August of 2025, and he started at a conservative 3514 LPI with 1100 of milk and 3 on confirmation. Fast forward today, take into consideration the rollback we just went through as well, and his numbers fell in at 3774 LPI, 1861 milk, and 6 on confirmation. So a considerable jump and increase, and an 8 on confirmation. 8 on confirmation, 1400 of milk, and 37th LPI. So really has taken a big jump since his debut in August 2025. He's a bull that we've continued to watch through the winter and watch his daughters develop and see if they've come. And our guys in the field that are seeing them on a more regular basis really do love them for their udder quality, their udder shape. He's a bull that's going to add a really strong definition of median suspensory, which I think we'll all agree is something we need more and more in the breed. He's going to add width to the rear udder, and he also does a tremendous job on that foot shape and that foot depth and foot health as well. His components are solid at 99 kilos of fat and 58 kilos of protein, so just a really well-rounded bull. He carries a lot of our brands. When you look for that, he's a fertility first bull, a calving, he's a robot ready, and an A2A2 sire. So all things that I think our breeders are looking for in the countryside. And when you do some sorts on Lactanet and you put in some filters that are fairly discriminatory, but really narrow it down to some of the elite bulls. And if we look for bulls that are over 1,400 of milk, greater than 7 on conformation, above 8 on mammary system, with positive fat and protein percents, I think these are all traits that a lot of our customers are asking for in a proven bull. And when you do that sort, it comes down to 2 bulls left on Lactanet's site. One being Cookie Cutter Larson, and the other one being the Sugar High bull that you already talked about, Paul. So I think 2 elite bulls, when you drill down in those filters, really do rank quite high. And the Larson bull, I think, is something unique and special that's come along here now. One of his daughters, Larson Kelly, has come through the Progenesis program. She's up at the Character Holstein's farm that milks and looks after a good group of our donors. She's in her second lactation. She's very good. She's the dam of Progenesis Klein, a Milan son that's released now. And of all the young sire daughters that I've seen recently, I think this Larson Kelly is certainly one of my favorites. So it propels Larson up in my books quite well when I see a cow that good come through as a young sire and been a donor as well. Another bull that I just wanted to put in a bit of a plug for that did get a Mace production proof this time is the Progenesis Total Bull. So he didn't get a type evaluation, but he did get a production proof and got a Mace evaluation on 178 daughters. He's really a component bull at 108 kilos of fat, 73 kilos of protein. On the US conversion, it's 90 pounds of fat and 54 pounds of protein. So really a solid component bull. He's a game day from a Zazzle, from a Positive, and then a Charlie. And this is a bull, I think he's got every one of our brands on him. Fertility First, Calving Ease, Robot Ready, A2, and of course, Immunity Plus, where you can only find that at Semex. So a bull that's carrying everything as far as inside, great production bull. We'll watch for his confirmation proof and type evaluation come August, but he's off to a pretty good start so far. And when you look at the active list of proven bulls that are doing the kind of things he does, that are over 100 of fat, over 70 of protein, and looking at his parent average right now of confirmation is 8, so with the filter of 6 instead. There's only 4 bulls on the Lactanet site that tick all those boxes. So if he can hold close to his parent average on type, he's certainly going to be in some elite company right at the top of the LPI list come August. So a really solid bull in Progenesis Total that I think is getting a little bit of conversation as we come through proof week for that Mace production proof and go along with his genomic type. So a couple of nice proven bulls or semi-proven bulls for us to talk about in Larson and Total. One other proven bull that I wanted to make a quick note of is the Mattenhoff Harris bull. We did talk about him last time as well, but Harris held down the number 1 confirmation proven sire on the Canadian list this time. I think no stranger to high type breeders that are looking for those great udders, exceptional feet and legs, perfect rump structure, and that show appeal. We're seeing Harris do that. Of course, he had his really, really pretty and attractive daughter that did so well at Cremona back earlier in the year. And from that great pedigree that goes back to the Hannah V-Ray cow, just an exceptional pedigree to go along with that plus 18 confirmation proof and solid type breakdown all the way through. He does currently have 169 daughters here in Canada. 90% of them are good plus or better, with almost a third of them being very good already. Really exceptional status for Mattenhoff Harris. He is housed in Hungary, so his semen is currently available in Europe. We're not able to access it here for our North American customers, but he is available in Europe at this time. So really a solid proven round on the Canadian system, but we can't talk about the Canadian proofs without talking about the genomic breakdown. And Julien, what can you tell us about how we did on the genomic LPI sires this time?
Right. Thank you, Mike. When the proofs came out on Tuesday, I mean, what Lactanet publishes is top LPI young bulls over 11 months. In that group, Semex had 6 of the top 10. But there's still young bulls. Of those 6 bulls, only 1 is released. So, and when you guys were talking about eye level, it's interesting. And to my knowledge, it's one of the really first bull that dominates on both sides of the border on overall indexes to have 5 eye level sons in the top 10. Amazing. And to see in these bulls, if you convert them to the US and they just rank just as high. So eye level will have a big influence on both sides, maybe more moderate on the confirmation on the Canadian side, but certainly extreme on production. So so I went beyond just the top 10, just to have an overall look at our top LPI bulls, young bulls. So I just looked at the top 50 bulls and studs, just to give you a hint of what's coming in the next few months, because some bulls missed the list by couple of days, a couple of months. So basically what we're going to have to work with in the next few months, before the end of the year. So I took the top 50 bulls in stud. And so that's, so there's 50 bulls over 3930 TPI, LPIs. So that's really big time high levels. Of those 50, 26 are A2, 15 are immunity plus, 30 or 70 kilos of protein, 42 are over 100 kilos of fat, and 11 over 80 kilos of protein. So even though we have 6 of the top 10 on that list, the rest, I mean, of the top 50, only 13 are in service right now, are released. So I think the rest of the year looks really, really promising on the LPI side. And, I think there's about 10 of them that are double-digit type in that top group. So that's pretty hard to get this high on LPI and be this high on confirmation. So a really solid group. And these high-level sons, they're producing semen, the really high ones. They're just starting now, so they should be released in the next few months. Our highest bull release is Beyond Fitness, Way Beyond Fitness, and he sold semen in 25 countries already. And the bull's almost 3 years old, so and it's still that high. So really nice group of high LPI bulls, and we could talk about every one of them, but we'll wait till they make semen and they get released, and I think that's something to look forward in August. Go on with the confirmation one, which is a really exciting group as well.
Yeah, it echoes those comments you made about the overall GLPI. Julien, I think we had a really solid day on the confirmation list. Semex, the top 3 bulls on the genomic confirmation list are all at Semex. A pair of brothers that fit there at the top, a pair of full brothers. A plus 19, Progenesis Alistair and Progenesis Axel. Both are in stud and both are on collection right now. So hopefully we should have semen on them fairly soon and get them released as soon as we can. But they're sired by Lint. And we hear a lot of really good things about Lint and his calves in the countryside. So no surprise to see one of his sons come through as solid as this guy has. They're out of a really, really nice cow, Progenesis Tarmac Alexis. Alexis just went 87 there 2 weeks ago, and she's off to a great start. She's an exceptional uddered cow. Long frame, great rump, and stands square on her feet and legs. So she's going to be quite a cow to have in a pedigree. But she gets it honestly from her maternal line. Of course, she's out of an 86-point Ranger, and then Mystic Lambda Annis, the excellent 93 cow that's done so well for our program, brought us Ambrose, brought us Anahita. And with the early freshening Ambroses in the countryside and what we're hearing even about the first Anahitas, this pedigree is throwing some bulls that can produce great cows too. So to see another generation come through at plus 19 on confirmation with the great type breakdown all the way through, I think seeing that pedigree perform the way it's doing, I think it just adds confidence even more so to these number 1 ranked bulls that will be hopefully available later this late spring or into the summer months. Going along with that, also at number 4 is Benjo Lindenwright Mapache, plus 18. He is a polled sire as well, sired by Anahita out of a Moonwalker. We did discuss him last time. He's been very popular and getting a lot of use as he's been released most recently in Sex Semen. And then also tied with him at plus 18 is Sabiona Urus, the Anahita from a Lambda that's housed in Hungary for us. So a popular bull over there as well that's getting some attention for his plus 18. Really a solid performance for Semex bulls in the confirmation list, as you see the Semex bulls outranking all the others and ranking right at the top, and bulls that are ready to make semen and be released to the field here right shortly. An exciting time for our genomic LPI bulls on confirmation and LPI all the way around. But Paul, why don't you take the lead and talk to us about how we did on the TPI genomic side this time?
Yeah, Mike, we continued to rank well in the U.S. list, and probably the most exciting thing for us is, from a product development standpoint, is the new tools that we'll get to play with this year. Kind of the next generation as far as a pedigree standpoint. We're getting into the Torchlight, the Fargo, the Watchman sons. So we got them on the ground last year, and now they're in the barns. The guys in the barn and gals in the barn are doing a great job trying to get us a semen on some high-ranking bulls, so we got some new tools to play with, if you will. When you look at the GTPI list, on the top end, a Progenesis Time Travel would be the number 2 bull of the whole breed with a stud code. The 10th bull would be a bull called Progenesis Super Freak. He's a Fargo son. And the number 12 bull would be Progenesis Vasquez, and he is a Watchman son. So 3 bulls in the top 12. All those bulls are just starting to make some semen, and we're looking forward to using them. As you look at the whole group, if you look at the top 100 GTPI bulls with a stud code, Semex has right at 15 bulls in that group. And the nice thing about that, and Julien kind of touched on diversity with pedigrees, we do have 7 different sires represented out of those 15 bulls. They're led by Fargo with 4 sons, High Level with 3, Sheepster with 3, Watchman with 2, Torchlight 1, Hike-On 1, and Carl 1. So nice pedigree diversity there. If we look at a kind of a higher level, the top 1,000 is kind of a way our group looks at bulls, and CMEX is right at 15% of the bulls on the top 1,000 of any age with on a GTPI level. I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on net merit as well. Sometimes we spend a lot of time talking about GTPI, but also net merit is a very important index that we use around the globe, specifically also in the US to rank bulls. And this Progenesis Vasquez bull is one of the top bulls, and the breed is in the top 10 for bulls with stud code on net merit. He sits at 1284 in that merit, right at the top end. This Watchman's son is born in July, and we are patiently waiting to use him as a sire sons, and we'll be using some of our strategies, such as the biopsies project through Bovatech to target elite net merit females in the United States and make arrangements to get more net merit. There's also a bull called Progenesis Mayfield that's over 1,200 net merit. He's a Watchman son as well. He's born in August, so hopefully we get to use him this summer. And then there's a set of ET split full brothers that were made at Bovatech that are also full brothers to Vasquez that sit right at 1,200, and their names are Vinonet and Benedict, and they're born in July. So hopefully the group of those 4 net merit bulls around 1,200 or more for net merit. One bull that has done quite well for us that we're using now is the high-level son, Boogie Woogie. He's the brother to Boogie Dance that's on the fast start list, but Boogie Woogie's 1190 on net merit. He'll probably get released at some stage on the fast start, but we've been using him in our embryo program for biopsies at Progenesis and in the States, and he's made the highest net merit animal ever in our program at 1289, and that's a male. So we hope that ends up being a pregnancy. We can talk about him in the future, but he's doing a nice job of transmitting that merit on that. I did touch a little bit on fast start. I know we do have some new releases there, and Julien, you were going to introduce those to us today.
Right. There was 4 bulls released last week. Nice group, all 8282. So let's get this out of the way. They're all 8282. So we start with the first one. Paul, you mentioned Beyond Power Star 41312. So her son, and you even mentioned Beyond Ure, really high components. This Carlson's got high components, got high type, really good udders, and so it just got released. Not the highest of milk, but really high CFP, and like I said, good type and good. He's positive DPR. And one thing that nobody would have known, but he's showing some really high embryos on the biopsy program. Seem to cross, you can call him an outcross almost, really. So he can be used on all the sheepster blood and all. That's got a lot of milk, and it'll work quite well. So just got released. Next one is Progenesis High End. I would say, talking about outcross, high end is a precedent from Easton, from Highlighted. Being an outcross, being this high, this balanced. And Paul, I don't know if you'd agree, but I think for me, it was the most popular mating sire in the last 12 months. We've got more hit with this bull, more demand to use this bull. So high end is right at 3474 TPI, over 1,000 net merit. But that's his balance of 1,200 of milk and over a point quarter on type and udders. With really good DPR that makes him the really total package. And already he's pretty much he's going to be extremely popular across with all the sheepster blood in the breed. So he's something that the breed's been really looking for. And quickly, the other 2, Progenesis Tumbo is a giant son from a full sister to Torchlight. So we talked about Torchlight that sired the highest female in the breed. So the dam's a full sister. Next dam's 88-point Game Day Titania. So another bull that's high component, solid type, giant son from a sheepster. And the 4th one, Candlelight P Red, something really special in the red business so far. I mean, just in Europe. But he's a Shield son. And as I mentioned before, Monteverde's a good breeding bull. Shield is a Monteverde son. Candlelight P Red, 3790. of LPI and 11 on confirmation. So probably one of the most complete Red Bull in the breed. And I'll skip the pedigree because that's a kind of an old school German pedigree with, I mean, that's for diversity, that's pretty awesome. But to see something different yet come in with big numbers on both US and Canadian side. And hopefully we have access to semen in North America, late summer, early fall. But at this point, he's quite popular in Europe. So these are the 4 newest fast start bulls available. And the one released the previous months did quite well, and I'm still very popular. So still a program to satisfy a lot of demanding breeders. So I think, Mike, you have some females you want to share with us.
Yeah,
Female information.
I think, I mean, we can't get to having these great bulls without access to the great females. And I think Julien, Paul, myself, and our colleagues, of course, Angelo and Terry, we're very fortunate to work with some great breeders around the globe and work with their high-ranking females and get access to them to create some of these bulls. But we also have our internal program in Progenesis that creates a great group of females. And this time around, our female list through the internal Progenesis program did extremely well. Paul, you already mentioned the number 1 GTPI female in the world in the Torchlight High Society. So a tremendous effort to lead that charge and that top ranking list as well. On the LPI side, Progenesis is or Semex is co-breeder or breeder of the top 13 GLPI females in the breed. They also are the breeder of the number 1 homozygous polled GLPI female in the breed. Progenesis Bespoke 10379. So will be an influential heifer, I'm sure, in our polled program. And we also have a great group of red and red carrier females as well that Progenesis has bred the top 7 red and white females and the top 11 red carrier females. To go along with that number 1 TPI female and all the other great females in the TPI list, we've got a really strong LPI list that complements those partner herd lists of heifers that are partner herds around the globe that this group or us guys get to work with. A solid group of females to go along with that great group of males from a tremendous proof round. So I think all in all, guys, I mean, a heck of a proof day, a heck of a proof week, and great things to come as you talked about. So Clarissa, Brenda, I don't know if you have any other questions or follow-up, but I think that probably sums up our take
Yeah,
on
no,
them.
that was great. It probably went a little bit longer, but a lot of great information for everybody. I think it was really good, very educational. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you all for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll see you next proof round.
Very good.
See you later.
Thank you.